Hey everyone, my name is Kyle Gilbert. I'm the Corporate Account Manager here at IBIX Surface Technologies, and today I'm going to be introducing the Spartacus Portable Flame Spray System. This system can coat up to 600 square feet an hour with a thermoplastic powder coating, which is great for corrosion protection. Coating concrete, metal, or fiberglass are all options that you can do with the Spartacus, and again, this is a commercial grade product, so it allows you to do large projects at once with a 5.5 inch spray pattern. The system itself offers 3 different guns. Our small detail gun, which coats up to 250 square feet an hour with about a 3 inch spray pattern. This is really good for railings, any kind of small projects or touch-up areas where if you've previously coated or are just trying to coat a new project that isn't too big, needing the high flow, then this gun is a good alternative for you to have as an add-on to your Spartacus. Traditionally, we typically sell the high flow steel application gun with the Spartacus, which gives you about a 5.5 inch spray pattern. This gun we do see more in the metal industry for anyone doing, again, bigger railing projects, any kind of steel industry projects where they have large beams. This high flow gun is a great alternative or a great solution for metal projects. Lastly, we have our Centurion gun, and this is our cooling gun, which has a built-in cooling system for the powder, ensuring that the internals of the actual gun remain cool so the powder doesn't heat up over time. This is a concrete gun, or typically concrete or fiberglass. So after you put your first layer of epoxy or second layer of epoxy, you go coat with this. This is a great alternative again to the metal gun because that cooling gun allows the powder to remain 100% cool internally, so it comes out without clogging up or clumping due to the flame. The system is extremely portable, only weighs about 99 pounds empty, so bringing it in and out of a truck or on site is very easy for any construction worker, any kind of hobbyist that are looking to just get a system to do coating. That pretty much wraps up the Spartacus. Thanks so much.
Hey everyone, I'm Jay Campbell, the technical trainer here at IBIX North America. Today I want to go over some different features as well as general settings when using the Spartacus flame spray system for the first time. I also want to talk about just general maintenance and upkeep for the unit. So as you can see on the side of the machine here, we have a few different dials, a few different knobs. A couple of these features include a powder flow adjustment, so we can control the speed of the material that comes out of the gun itself, which is really important because if we're looking to do, let's say, handrails or some more tedious areas where we need to have a little bit more control, we can slow down the speed of the material so we don't have a lot of bounce back and overspray happening. So controlling the speed is very important when it comes to different types of applications. If we're looking to do a wider surface or a larger surface and want more production, we can increase the speed of the actual powder, standing farther back and increasing the size of your spray pattern. The other feature is the powder volume. So on the side of the unit, there is a plus and a minus sign, and that is going to control the cylinder, which is located underneath the hopper or in the front door that ranges from 0 to 5. Typically, when we're doing a steel surface, that setting is going to be between 3.2 to 3.5. But if it's on a, let's say, an aluminum surface that can't hold the temperature from the flame, but we want to actually build a thicker coating, we can increase it to either 3.7 or 4 or 4.5. So that's very important when it comes to different types of surfaces. As Kyle mentioned earlier, we do have 3 different guns that can be purchased or included with the package. Thankfully, each gun, if you're looking to interchange those on the fly, those all have quick connect features. So just regular female to male fittings, quick connect fittings, which makes it really easy to interchange those on the fly. When it comes to the guns itself, they're all very similar as far as the technology goes. We have our larger opening, which is producing the powder. Then we also have these smaller LPG holes that are emitting the actual gas for the flame. So when it comes to doing any kind of maintenance or upkeep on these guns, it's really important that any powder that is coming out of the gun isn't sticking to the inside of this area, because that could cover up the actual holes of the gun itself, and you're not going to be able to generate the temperatures where you want those to be. So when it comes to the actual guns itself, one question that we get a lot is, okay, how do we avoid any kind of buildup from happening in the guns themselves? I guess the most plain and simple answer is just adding more air to the gun. Whenever we start this flame, we want to make sure that once the flame is started, we increase the air on the gun as high as it can go. What we're looking for is enough air to push the actual powder out of the end of the gun so it's not remaining inside of here. If it was, not enough air coming out of the gun, you may see some buildup, a lot of catching of the material inside of this area right here, and that could eventually clog the gun itself as well as the LPG holes, and you're not going to produce the flame and melt in the material where you need it to be. So again, when starting the gun itself, and this applies for all of the guns that we have. Make sure that you are building up the air pressure once you get the flame started as high as it can go. And to add to the cooling system, or the cooling gun, this does require around 46 CFM to run this gun. Each gun does have a minimum, and the system will change the minimum CFM requirement depending on which gun that you have. So if you're using just the detail gun, you're going to need around 30 CFM. If you're using the large high flow gun, you're going to need around 36 CFM. With the Centurion cooling gun, since we do have a cooling system built onto this gun here, it will require a little bit more air, so you'll need around 46 CFM. When it comes to doing any kind of maintenance or upkeep on the system, thankfully, it's very minimal. We're not adding any harsh abrasives. There's not really a lot of wear items on this unit. So to clean it out, there is a built-in air blower that's going to be inside of this unit. So if you have to interchange the color in the hopper, you need to dump out the material, you can easily take that blower, blow out the actual inside of the hopper itself. You can also blow out the gun itself. All of our Spartacus systems, they do come with a main pressure regulator, which has a moisture separator built onto it. So again, with any pneumatic driven machine that will be producing a lot of air, there's always going to be a risk or a chance of moisture. So we do say that when you are using the system itself, leave the moisture separator cracked open just a hair to ensure there's no moisture going into the actual system itself. Another trick or tip when using the gun itself is if you are shutting the flame off and on pretty regularly, what I would recommend is always checking before the flame is on, checking in the interior of the gun to make sure that there's no material that has started to cure around the opening. What I usually do is I'll take my sparker once the flame is off, and I'll just kind of peel off any cured material before I start the flame back. Because what can happen is, once you start the flame, turn the air up, that ring that's forming around that opening will become loose, and it'll just, it'll spit onto the surface, which we want to try to avoid. Alright, so the last thing I want to talk about is the propane tank. When using the Spartacus system, we do recommend to have at least two 50-pound or 100-pound tanks, depending on the size of the project that you're working on. The reason that we say to have two tanks is in case the first one starts to freeze up, which they typically tend to do that when you are working for longer hours. If the first one starts to freeze up, you can quickly change over to the secondary tank while you let the other one thaw out. The 100-pound tank is going to allow you to have a little bit longer of a run time, but there's always the risk of the bottles freezing up as well, so that's why we say having a 100-pound tank. Anyone who's working in the colder environments, we do recommend to have some sort of insulation around the propane tank, just because the bottle will freeze a lot faster in those colder environments. So that is something to take into consideration when using the system. Other than that, that about does it for the flame spray system.